Hello and welcome to the Sewing Studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make this picnic blanket behind me. Now there's a story attached to this because it didn't start quite like this, but I'm going to tell you that story at the very end. So for now I'm going to show you how to make the block. Now I used Moda's Thatched, and I'm now today going to use the Moda Thatched new colours, which are slightly different to the ones behind me. So I'm just going to open this jelly roll because this is always the best part. So what you need to create the block, which is like this, you need 3 colours, but these strips are cut at 14 inches. So you can't get 4 lots of 14 out of one strip. So what you do need to do is you need to go through your jelly roll and you need to identify 2 that are the same colour. So I'm going to take this green and they're going to be my long strips. And then where I've only got 1 of a certain colour, so I'm going to take this one because this is 3 strips of 7, and then I'm going to take this one, and that's going to be my other one, which is 3 strips of 7. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our strips. So where we've got 2 the same, we need 4 strips measuring 14 inches. So we just smooth these out, and I don't tend to press jelly roll strips because I don't want to stretch the fabric. So I do all my pressing when I've got my blocks together. Just going to cut the selvages off there. So there's my 4 strips measuring 14 inches. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 3 strips measuring 7.5. And keep all these odd bits because we'll need those later on. Always helps if you open your blade. And then we're going to go over to the machine, and what we're going to do is we're going to join our beige strips to our orange strips first of all. So we're going to join those together, and then we're going to add our green strips to create the block. So I'm just going over to the sewing machine. Before I do that, if you like what we do, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. We'll give you lots of hints and tips and best practices. You can meet the team, you can see behind the scenes, and we'll answer all of your questions in the comments below. So with right sides together, I'm going to join the 2 pieces together. So I've got an orange and a caramelly colour. So I'm just going to finger press these one way. You might want to go over to the iron and do yours, but I'm just going to finger press them towards the darker fabric. And then I'm going to join them to the green fabric. So you can chain piece these. So I'm going to join a green to our 2 pieces. And then I'm going to alternate them so that we have a green and then we have an orange, a green and an orange. So I'm just going to join those together, and those of you eagle-eyed viewers will notice that this one's quite a bit longer. So I'm thinking that it was 14.5 is the measurement that I should have given you at the start. I seem to be fated with this pattern. Anyway, we'll move on. So I'm now going over to the iron to give that a press. So I'm just pressing the seams all one way, and then I'm going to give this a trim to try and even it up. So that's your block. So you can see from the one I did earlier that that is what your block should look like. So you can see I haven't been very successful with this one. So the pattern is called Chicken Scratch, and it is a free download from Moda. It's one of their free patterns. So when I started this quilt, as I said earlier, one should always read all of the instructions first. Because you need 2 strips of the same colour for your longer pieces, which I've now discovered should be 14.5 inches and not 14, as I said earlier, you need 2 strips to make this colour, and then these ones can come from 1 strip. So that's how to make the block. So if you're going to make the quilt, I would suggest that you read the pattern all the way through. But I'm going to go over to the quilt behind me and just talk you through what I did to put it right. So for a long time, I just put away the blocks that I'd made and the scraps of the jelly roll that was left, just put them in a box, and there they sat. And I thought, I can't waste this. It's such a beautiful colour. I've got to do something with it. So it's really bright and colourful. So what I decided to do was put the blocks together that I'd got made up. So you can see I've gone horizontally, vertically, horizontally. So I had 9 of these blocks. So first of all, I just squared them up the best I could, and then I joined them together. And then I took all the other pieces that I had left over, the jelly roll strips. I just joined them all end to end and created a border going round the block. Didn't think about the colours, just put it on. Then I looked and I saw I'd got enough, so I did another strip, and so I made a second border. So you can see I've got 2 borders going all the way round. And then I'd got some left, so I joined all of those together to make a nice scrappy binding. So I joined those on the diagonal to do the binding. And what I did, because I wanted it to be a picnic blanket, because I think it's a nice size for a picnic blanket, I put some grey fleece on the back of it. And then I just, as always, my favourite stitch, did this wavy line, did this in a variegated thread, which is like a rainbow colour. So you can see it's got all the different colours running through there. So I just did around the blocks, and then I just did down each of the borders here like this to separate it. And I put the colourful binding on. And now I really love it. So what went wrong and sat for ages and I was disappointed with, I now really love it, and it's my picnic blanket. So hopefully we're going to have a lovely summer and it's going to get lots of use. So as always, make these things your own, have fun, and I look forward to seeing you next time here in the sewing studio.